Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone, and good afternoon. Welcome. Please, apologies that we are starting this session late today. There were some unforeseen circumstances that I can't explain that made that to happen. But I'm glad to be here right now. Thank you so much, everyone, for holding forth and waiting for us to resume this session and start this session today. Apologies that I am late here. Right. Thank you so much for holding on. Happy to be here once again. So today, apologies again that I cannot project my voice the way I should um, because I'm trying to get it right. Right. I'm trying to what was I use? It's healing. Yes, that's the word. All right. Okay. So thank you. And so today we're going to be looking at your financial life follows your dominant thought. Why is it that your financial life follows your dominant thoughts? Right. Um, what do we mean by that? How does that happen? Right. So welcome everyone again. I can see that Mrs. Anne has been here for a long time, and Mr. Chris also has been here. Um, Botashikia. My lovely wife have been here since, okay. Yes, Mr. Kamhu Dogara, Madam Wafo, Madam Bele, Black Mysterio, all have been here since. Thank you so much, Madam Anne. Thank you. All right, so we'll get right into it. All right. So quickly, we're not going to waste time today. Your financial life follows your dominant thoughts, right? You know, a lot of people think that money problems starts in the bank account, right? They think everything concerning money is just all about their bank account. In fact, when people make prayers about money, the first thing they say, what they say is always more money in my bank account. But something has to lead to that. All right. So most times the money problems don't start in the bank account. They start somewhere. They start in our thoughts. In our thoughts. Yes, that's where they start from. Because before money shows up in your hands, it already exists in your mind, right? Your beliefs influence your decisions. Your decisions influence your habits. Your habits influence your financial results. That's the way it works. And this is why your financial life often follows your dominant thoughts. Not random thoughts, not occasional thoughts, dominant thoughts. Dominant, the ones that are dominant. Okay? So the thoughts that you repeatedly entertain, the belief that you constantly rehearse, that thing that you've come to accept as truth for you. All right. You know, those internal conversations is how shapes is what shapes how you see yourself. It's what shapes your opportunities, your risks, your money, the possibilities that come to you. And that's why Proverbs 23:7 says that as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. You know, there's a book that we were reading that we almost rounded up in the Money Click January cohorts. And that book, for a lot of people who have been following, or people who have been reading that book has indeed shown a lot of people how much how you think can come to affect your money. Right? So your thinking does not stay in your mind. Your thinking appears in your behavior as well. And that's why the Bible said, as he thinks in his heart, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. Have you really thought about that? That as you think in your heart, so are you. So it means that your thought shapes you, right? Your thought shapes your behavior, and your behavior eventually changes. Your behavior eventually affects your financial outcomes, right? So naturally, you move in the direction of your dominant thinking. See, whatever it is you want in life, think about it. Let it dominate your thoughts. Let it dominate your thoughts. If somebody's dominant thoughts are things like money will always disappear, there's no money. People like me never really make money. People like me are poor people. Investing is too risky. I can't earn more money than what I'm earning now. Those thoughts rarely remain harmless mental opinions. They are not. They quietly start influencing your decisions. Because human beings naturally behave in the ways that they agree with the deepest beliefs. So if you believe financial progress is impossible, you may unconsciously stop learning. You may unconsciously stop investing. You may unconsciously stop planning. You may unconsciously stop negotiating. You will unconsciously stop building skills. If you once believe it's impossible, a woman reached out to me one day and she told me that they are salary earners, she and her husband, that she believes that they can create wealth, they can start investing. But her husband believes that he cannot do anything again with the money that he earns. And because of that, he's not interested to learn. He's not interested in investing. He doesn't want to do anything. That his thoughts affecting his actions. So your thoughts affect your actions. And not just that. Remember, for those who are in the money clique, I've taught you about your subconscious mind. Right? Your subconscious mind has a way of affecting your whole being as a person. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he, so is he. See, there is a power that resides in your subconscious mind. There's a lot of power here if you understand how to use it. How you think affects what happens to you. If you start thinking of good things, have you realized that you start having good things come your way? If you start thinking of negative, you have negative come your way. And that's the reason why, from time to time, we come up with a no complaint challenge in the money click. Why? Because when you're complaining, you're focusing on the problem. Because when you're complaining, you're focusing on the issues, and that will not bring you a good outcome. Your subconscious is just listening to problems and is bringing you more problems. I don't know how I can explain how much your subconscious works. See, if you want something in life, one way you can get it is to impress on your subconscious. Impress that thing on your subconscious. And there are different ways you can impress on your subconscious by thinking about it, by repeatedly saying it, by declaring it. Yes, when you declare, you impress on your subconscious because you say it so frequently that you come to believe it as truth. And once it becomes truth to you, it starts happening. Trust me, this is one thing that I have done all my life to achieve a lot of things for myself. I impress things on my subconscious. See, if in your head, what I'm saying now might sound very strange to a lot of people, but take it. If you impress on your subconscious right now, that if you step out of your door, you will hit your leg. When you step out of your door, you will hit your leg. For every situation I found myself that I do not want to be in or I want to get in, I use my subconscious mind. There's a book we're going to read in the Money Click next year about the subconscious mind that would help us open our minds even more. Because this curriculum for this year is already set. I want to tell you something. Just a few, there's this activity that we do in the Money Click, right? And which we brought back again in this week. Check this week's activity, right? This week's activity is about impressing your goals on your subconscious mind. That's what it's about, right? It's about telling yourself over and over again, this is what I want. This is how I'm going to achieve it. This is what I want. This is how I'm going to achieve it. But I know a lot of people might not take those activities serious. Sorry, for those in the match cohort, we're going to come to this. And I think those in the match cohort that have, Ruben, those in match cohorts have done this activity before. Yes, yes, they have. They have already. They have already. Those in the match cohort have done this already. We call it a statement plan of action. A statement plan of action. I was just talking with my wife a few days ago, and we were talking about how powerful the subconscious mind can be. And I was showing her using the statement plan of action, how I write things down, something I really want. Morning and night, I paste it in front of my wardrobe, in the bathroom, right? In the cupboard over the sink, right? Inside the mirror, this thing. I paste it there. So I'm brushing my teeth and reading it to myself. So I'm dressing up and reading it to myself. Day and night, I read it to myself. And I was showing her the one for last year. And everything I I impressed on my subconscious for last year happened. Everything. There's a certain amount of money I wanted to make last year. I need it and more. I'm not telling you what doesn't work. There is power in your mind. You're not just using it. You're not just using your mind enough. We were having a conversation with my wife because I was trying to, there's a book that I'm reading currently. And I was, we're discussing about that book. And she remembers something that happened to her years ago. See, your subconscious mind does not care whether what you impress on it is good or bad. That's why you should be careful what you think about. If you impress bad, bad will come. If you impress good, good will come. That's why if you check most of the message of Christ, he kept saying, think good. The Bible tells you, think of good, think of good, think of good. Right? Let me finish my story first. So my wife told me a story I'm going to share with you today. And she said that something happened to her when she was way younger that she remembered. That at some point, somewhere the mom had a shop. And close to that shop, the government made the road and dug a deep gutter. Now, they didn't do something to cross the gutter over it. They didn't do a covert. So someone, a good Samaritan somewhere, just did a very strong mini bridge, like a plank, used the plank to make a bridge to cross over. Now it was strong, but it seemed strong. But that in her mind, she kept telling herself, what if somebody crosses, somebody is trying to cross over this thing and the thing does break? What if somebody tries to cross this thing and it will break? That she kept thinking about. That's what she always thought about. And guess what? This bridge or this plank stayed. And it didn't break until the day somebody was on top of it. Guess who? Guess who was on top of this plank the day it broke? My wife. My wife. The day she decided that she was going to go on that plank to cross over, that was the day that plank broke. There is power in your mind. And I wish to remind you again, think of being positive. Every day we say we are billionaires, we are billionaires. If you can't see you being a billionaire here, it cannot happen. If you can't see yourself making 50 million, you cannot make it. If you can't see yourself living in a particular place, you cannot live there. I'll tell you another story. I don't know. I know a lot of you watched the day that Coach Wendy and Coach Kunle opened the family hub. And that day she gave a testimony. She said, there's so many years ago that she told the husband that one day we would own the property on the street. Right? Just that. That she told that on this street one day we'll own a property. Do you think it's a coincidence that somehow, at some point, she was able to afford it, and not just that, somebody was willing to sell? We're not talking about the street that is a new developing area. Houses were all built. There is something about impressing and believing. For most miracles that Jesus performed, it happened to those that got the miracle because they believed. For everything that would happen to you, you must believe. You must be careful what you believe. You must be careful if you believe good or you believe bad. If you believe good, good will come to you. If you believe bad, bad will come to you. That's just how it is. Right? I'm saying it on a very, very peripheral level. Right? But there's more to it. There is power in your mind. Like I've always told you, your mind is divided into two, your conscious and your subconscious mind. Your subconscious is the one that takes into action whatever your conscious brings up. That's why at every point in that, even when you have negative thoughts, reframe it. Reframe the negative thoughts. Right? Reframe the negative thoughts. So your mindset quietly begins to shape you. It quietly begins to shape your finances. There are people who believe they can never be rich again. There are people who believe they can never be rich. Right? See, where's my jotter, Ruben? Sorry, don't worry. There's a verse in the Bible that I can't remember the quotation, but then that verse, I think, was in the book of Mark. And it says that when you pray, that's how they said we should pray. When you pray, believe it that it has happened and it shall happen. There is that part of believing. That's where faith comes in. You cannot get to where you're going if you do not have faith. See, everything that Christ tried to teach us was about faith. What is faith? Faith is in believing. Faith is believing, right? Faith is believing. Believing in things that are unseen, things that you cannot imagine, but you just believe. The law of life. If you remember, when we started this Money Click, right? In the first year of Money Click, I told you something. I told you that the law of life is the law of belief. That's what the law of life is. That's part of what Christ even came to tell us. So even if you tell us, even if you pray from now till tomorrow and there's no belief to that prayer coming to pass, it does not work. Belief is attached. And that's the faith that we talk about every day. Sometimes when we say faith, it sounds as if it's just, over our head. But what that faith in raw form is belief, is believing. It's telling yourself that I'll be a billionaire someday. And you're believing it above everything else. Maybe what you have in your account today is 100,000, but you believe you become a billionaire. And that's what even makes it more difficult. Why? Because at every point in time, you're faced with your reality, and you want to use your reality to judge where you're going to be tomorrow. But until your thinking changes, your reality cannot change. There are people who have told themselves that they are poor people. But people have agreed, they have concluded that they are poor. They've concluded that they are poor, they are poor people, they can't be anything, and that's the reason why they will remain poor. They will not remain poor because of just anything. But because they've accepted that they are poor people, that thinking affects every other thing about them. Spirituality aside, it affects their habits. Unconsciously, they sabotage themselves because they've agreed and told themselves they are poor people, right? So somehow they will no longer be interested in learning. Somehow they will never think about anything that will make them become rich. If you tell them to invest, they will tell you no, they're not interested. They're just about living today. So your mindset somehow shapes you. What you think shapes you. Shapes you. It shapes you. You're thinking life is just uncertain. People tell me life is uncertain. Let me just enjoy now. Right? But that thinking would lead you not to do things to benefit your financial future. So for some people, it's victim thinking. People are, you're always thinking nothing works. Nothing ever works. Nothing ever works. Nothing works. If you can believe, when Peter walked on water, what did Christ tell him when he walked on water? Remember, the first thing that Christ said to Peter was, why did you doubt? Thank you so much, my apostle. Mark 11, 22, 23. Yes, that's the place. Thank you so much, my apostle. Please put it up. Put it. Thank you so much, my apostle. Thank you so much. Remember again. Ruben, I need this thing to charge. Get the extension cable. Remember again, right? When Peter was drowning, the first thing he asked him is, why did you doubt? All he needed to do was just keep believing. Just keep believing that I can walk on water. Have you ever thought about it? That if your faith is as little as a mustard seed, you can even move a mountain. It's the same thing as if you can believe it. But do you know that right now, if you tell yourself, I can move a mountain, it's somewhere your mind also you're doubting it. It's not true. That's the problem that we have. So in your mind, you're telling yourself, okay, I can move a mountain, but you really do not believe it. You really do not believe that you can move a mountain. You really don't believe it. So you're saying it with one mind, but the other mind is, is telling you that, you cannot do it, or you might not be able to do it. But that's exactly what Mark 11, 22, 23 is telling us. That if you have faith That you can say unto this mountain, move, hey, be removed, and it will be removed. It is not hearsay. That's a fact about life. If you believe it strong enough. So, how we improve ourselves on this life is by increasing our belief. See, the stronger you grow in your belief, the more powerful you become as a human being. I'll tell you something I realized recently. I come upon a verse in the Bible, right? Psalm 139, verse 14. Psalm 139, verse 14, where it says that ye are fearfully made. You know, when I started thinking about ye are fearfully made, come to think about it. Do you know what it means to say that you are fearfully made? It means you don't know one hundredth of who you are and what power you possess and what you can do. And when you begin to see this verse, Mark 11:22, that tells you that if you believe that you can move a mountain, that you can. It begins to tell you that yes, indeed, there is something fearful about you as a being. You just don't know it. And you see, you can use that to your advantage even in making money. I tell you, you can't make money, you can't become a billionaire if you do not have faith. If you don't have faith in your ability, if you don't have faith in God, you can't get there. You can't get there. You need faith. There's another book that we're going to be reading in the Money Click program, right? That book was written by Napoleon Hill. And I just hope that people in the Money Click are actually, I hope we're not leaving this reading for only people who are reviewing. Because most times, as if it's just for the reviewers that the books are for, right? It's for everybody. This book we're concluding in the January cohort will have opened your mind on a lot of things. There's another one that we're going to be reading, I think in August, written by Napoleon Hill, right? Everything about that book was based on the principles of the Bible. It might not reference the Bible, but it is based on the principles of the Bible. But we'll get there. Let me continue with my class. Right? Okay. All right. So there are a lot of things that we can learn. There are a lot of things we need to learn. Your outer financial life tends to mirror your inner mental conditioning. Right? It mirrors your inner mental conditioning. So when you're asking yourself, how can I make this thing work? What can I learn? How do I grow this? Instead of telling yourself, why bother? It cannot be done. This is impossible. Your dominant questions influence your dominant thinking. And your dominant thinking influences your financial behavior. Some people, all they think about is how to spend, spend, spend. That's all that thinking comes up. See, when you think of how to spend, you become a very good spender. There are people that if you give them 100 million naira today, they are good at it. They are good at it. Yes, you still can grow rich. Thank you very much, Mr. Chris. But you think give them, if you give them 100 million today. No, I won't tell you the name of the book for next year. No, I'm not going to tell you. Don't worry about it. When we get there. So there are certain people that it's all negative thoughts. So you might think your consumer thinking is a negative thought, even though it might seem to please you. So some people, their dominant thought is, how do I spend? What can I buy right now? What next should I buy? They become wonderful buyers. Some people are wonderful spenders. See, there are people that if you give money now, they won't be able to spend it. There are people, if you give 100 million today, be rest assured, they can spend it in one day. They can spend it in one day. Then they will never ask, how do I multiply this? So we need to build our thoughts to think more like wealth builders. We need to think, how do I multiply this? How can I make this better? Right? And this principle of thinking on the positive, thinking to multiply, thinking to grow, thinking to build, strongly reflects the parable of the talents in Matthew 25. Right? Verse 14 to 30. Where the servants were given resources, one buried the opportunity out of fear. Out of fear. It is still his mind. What made him? Where does fear come from? It's a product of your mind. Others multiplied what they received. The difference was not resources. It was mindset. It The stewardship, it's action. That's what made the difference. Right? So fearful thinking creates fearful financial decisions. That servant who hid his own, he had fearful thinking. That was his problem. His dominant thinking was fear. So your dominant fearful thinking shapes your financial behavior powerfully. So fear is telling you don't invest. A lot of us are like that. A lot of us are like that servant who hid his talent. Yes, because a lot of us are thinking in that same direction. What made him think in that direction is fear. Fear makes you say, do not invest. Don't think about it. Today is the 28th of the month. And every day on the 28th, we send a reminder for everybody to budget and plan ahead of their income for the next month. And part of that planning should include investing, no matter how little. Right? Some people, fear is telling them do not start. There are people that they've been planning to start a business for the past 3 years ago, they're still planning, they never start. Fear is telling you to stay comfortable. Stay in your comfort zone. Don't move out. Just stay where you are. Fear is telling you to avoid uncertainty. So all you want is what is certain. Fear can really protect you, but excessive fear quietly shrinks your financial potential. All right? See, in that parable, that servant was actually scared. He said he was scared. He said he was afraid. So fear does not preserve growth. Fear produces stagnation. So a lot of people are not stuck financially because they lack intelligence. They are stuck because fear repeatedly controls their decisions. Their decisions are controlled by fear, a lot of fear. And it's a result of their mindset. So you need to start taking yourself out of that mindset. For some people, it could be the opposite of fear that's even affecting their mindset. It can also be excitement. It can be excitement. Right? But just notice the thoughts that we inherit, the thoughts that become a part of us shapes us. And so many people did not really consciously choose their money mindset. Like I will always tell you, some people inherited their money mindset. Some people inherited the mindset they have today from their parents, family experiences. Even economic hardship shapes your mindset. Culture shapes your mindset. That's why they will say, oh, certain culture behave certain way with money. The culture shapes your mindset. Community beliefs, right? Even religious misunderstanding. In the case of money is the root of all evil, that a lot of people have come to embrace. Okay? So a lot of people grew up hearing a lot of things. That is them inheriting those mindsets. Rich people are greedy. Rich people are wicked. Money is always difficult. Money is hard to find though. People from our family don't build wealth. People never ever rise for this family. Investing is gambling. Money must be spent quickly before problems come. Just once money come your hand, just spend them sharp, sharp. If not, problem will just carry on. Right? All these things are beliefs that some of us repeatedly heard. We heard it so much that it became a part of us. How do you think that happened? How do you think that you heard something so much and today it has become your own mindset? That is impressing on the subconscious. You hear something long enough, it becomes a part of you. So repeated beliefs, repeatedly hearing things, repeated beliefs become mental programming. And your programming influences your behavior. Right? And that's the reason mindset work matters deeply in financial education. It's not just about talking about budgeting. Mindset work is the main thing. If you don't do it, every other thing you do on the outside might not really work. And that's why I will tell you, what I teach in the Naira Academy, no other financial educator will teach you these things. I tell you with all certainty. Because they don't see money the way I see it. So your programming is powerful. And how does your programming work? It is impressions on your subconscious. You hear it often and often and often. It becomes your truth. It becomes a part of you. The same thing. If you hear the positive often and often and often, it becomes a part of you. And that's what that activity, that thing in the demonic lake is all about. It's about you saying it over and over and over to yourself until it becomes your truth, until you believe it that it's going to happen. And when you believe it, it starts influencing your behavior and your actions. Right? See, one thing about billionaires and very successful people is that they intentionally protect what shapes their thinking. So they are selective about their mental input. They're selective about what influences them. They're selective about their environments. They're selective about their conversations, about their beliefs, because they understand something. They understand something powerful. Your thoughts, excuse me, your thoughts become attitude. Your attitude become actions. Your actions become outcomes. Your action become outcomes. Romans 12 verse 2 says, do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Hey, transformation begins internally before it appears externally. It begins internally. It starts here. The renewing of the mind. Right? And it's not just, there's one important clarification. This is not saying that thinking wealthy thoughts and money will just appear magically. No, that's not what we're thinking. That's not what I'm saying here. Thoughts alone don't create wealth. Action matters. But what I'm saying is that your thoughts influences your actions. Discipline also matters. Skills matter. Strategy matters. But your thought influences these things. Your thought influences your courage. Your thought influences how persistent you are. Your thought influences your discipline. Your thought will influence your opportunity recognition. Your thought will influence your emotional control. Your thought will influence your consistent action. That's how these things come to life. And all these things matter financially. Right? And even the scripture connects thinking and action. Do you know why it connects it? In James 2:17, faith without works is dead. Faith without works is dead. So we're not saying just have faith alone. So faith leads to action. So healthy thinking eventually translates to disciplined behavior. Your dominant thoughts eventually influence everything about you. It will influence your standards, your habits, your financial identity, your emotional control, your willingness to invest, your approach to opportunity, your relationship with risk, your long-term discipline, everything. So your financial life is an external reflection of your internal programming. That's why mental conditioning is important. That's why if you are here and you're not in the Money Click program, there's something you're missing. See, sustainable financial change requires internal rewiring alongside external energy, alongside external strategy, alongside external action. But when you neglect the internal rewiring, there's something that is missing out. That's why, most people don't get it. I can come here tomorrow and every day I will just talk to you about investing and investing and investing. You do it once, you do it twice, and you go to rest. If I do not also focus on you understanding that as you're investing, there's a need to push your mind towards investing. There's a need to change your mindset. There's a need to change your discipline. There's a need to learn the skills. All those things work together. You cannot consistently build a financial life that contradicts your deepest belief. So if somewhere in your mind you believe that rich people are greedy, right? And you say you want to be a billionaire, you're contradicting yourself. If somewhere in your mind, somewhere down deep down your heart, you hate rich people, you hate wealthy people, but every day you come and call yourself a billionaire, you're contradicting yourself. If somewhere in your heart you keep seeing Why do people talk about prosperity so much? Why are even churches talking about it? But you want to be prosperous, you're contradicting yourself. If your dominant thoughts remain unchanged, your financial habits will also remain unchanged. That's why financial growth requires more than just higher income. It requires more than better strategy, investment knowledge, business opportunity. It requires more than just that. It requires examining the thinking patterns that are quietly shaping your decisions. Right? And that's why also Philippians 4 verse 18 says, whatever things are true, noble, right, pure, admirable, think on these things. Why? Because what consciously occupies your mind eventually influences how you live, including how you handle money. So protect your thinking carefully. Don't let anybody corrugate your thinking. Don't let anybody influence your positive thinking. Don't stop letting people complain around you. Stop letting people have victim mindset around you. Stay away from them. Stay away from victim energy. Because your financial future is shaped not only by what enters your wallet, but also what repeatedly occupies your mind. What repeatedly occupies your mind also shapes your financial future. Right? So, this is where I will come to the end of today's class. Right? Your financial thoughts follows your dominant thoughts. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Just going through review. Yes, Money Click is better experience than spoken about. Yes, it's all about, like I always tell you, the Money Click is more about mindset. And trust me, if you get it right here, every other thing follows. Every other thing follows when you get it right here. Once you get it right in your mind, every other thing follows. All right. Okay, sorry, excuse me, please. So thank you, and thank you, and thank you. Thank you. So, if you have any questions, you can just put your questions across, and we'll look at them. If no questions, then I'm going to see you all next week. Next week. Yes, so remember, we're back here again on Wednesday, right? And Thursday next week. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Sunday is going to be book review session for our Money Click Kids. If you're a parent here and you're in the Money Click Kids, please, I invite you, and your child is in the Money Click Kid. I invite you to just listen to those sessions. Those children are making us proud. Thank you so much, everyone, and hope to see you again next week. Bye bye.